On air, online, on mobile. This is Idaho News 6.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jake Garcia. Treasure Valley parents with young kids are being hit hard this week. With some schools facing temporary COVID-related closures, the need for safe and stable childcare is once again in the spotlight. This week, our Karen Lair dives deep and explores the problems like staffing shortages and growing wait lists, and how experts say public and private leaders could make a major difference by investing in early childhood education. First up tonight, know that if you're struggling to secure childcare in the Treasure Valley, you're definitely not alone.
We have to have childcare in order for working families to go to work.
Unfortunately, in many communities, including southern Idaho, that's a lot easier said than done. Countless Treasure Valley parents cannot find childcare.
You know, trying to find a nanny share, like really just trying to do anything to find an open spot at this point.
On the surface, it may seem like there are options on every corner, but within the walls of Idaho childcare facilities, program directors are plagued by persistent staffing shortages.
But they don't have enough employees. Like, they can't hire the folks that they need to hire quickly enough to be able to provide the service that our residents need so badly.
Regulations require a set number of teachers be present for a certain number of children, so without the teachers, facilities simply cannot enroll more kids.
91% of our childcare providers in Idaho say that staffing shortages was their #1 challenge that they're seeing right now.
And part of that problem points to pay. Childcare workers face low wages and likely no benefits. Compare that to increasing pay in other industries, and it's easy to see why potential candidates may skip the weeks-long wait of background checks and licensing procedures to take a higher-paying position they can start right away.
There was this 3 to 8 week wait time where, you know, a childcare provider could be taking care of a certain number of kids, and instead those kids are on a wait list because that person couldn't get into work.
As we reported last month, the city of Boise took action by amending city code to streamline the licensing process for new childcare workers in an effort to fill vacant positions faster and get more kids into the classroom. But that still doesn't solve everything.
There's just not enough spaces. Even if all of our childcare programs were to be able to hire the teachers to be able to build that capacity within their own program, we would still have a gap.
There's no arguing that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done in order to get every young Idaho child into a classroom, but that could take a community effort with the help from business leaders, developers, and even lawmakers. Join us over the next 2 nights as we continue taking an in-depth look at the state of childcare in Idaho and what could be done to help ease the burden for Idaho parents.
Ask any working parents with young children and you'll probably hear the search for safe and stable childcare is stressful, to say the least. From COVID concerns and staffing shortages to increasing costs and ever-growing wait lists, many workers heading back to the office in 2022 are finding themselves out of luck.
Basically, as soon as we found out that we were pregnant, we're like, we need to look for childcare. Britton.
Lacey and Sean Briggs thought they did everything right.
Britton.
They secured a spot for their son at a local daycare last summer, months before 4-month-old Britton was even born.
Hi, baby boy.
After alternating parental leave from their full-time jobs, Britton was set to start in mid-February, but in late December, they got a call from the daycare director
Telling us that because of the labor shortage, unfortunately, he would not be able to start in February like we had anticipated. And so we're out of luck. We don't know what to do at this point.
It's a multifaceted problem without a real quick fix. 91% of Idaho childcare facilities say staffing is their #1 challenge, unable to compete with other employment opportunities currently offering upwards of $15 an hour.
It's leaving childcare in the dust, if you will, because they can't compete with the wages that they're seeing in other industries.
Beth Oppenheimer with the Idaho Association for the Education of Young Children says most Treasure Valley childcare workers are making about $10 an hour.
A childcare provider can go to Walmart and make $15 an hour, or to Starbucks and make $15 an hour.
And in order to raise wages for childcare workers, they'd have to raise their rates, putting the problem on paying parents, many whom are already paying more than $1,000 a month per child.
The place that we're looking at as a replacement now is more than our mortgage.
Families are actually making choices not to have children or not to have an additional child because the cost is too much and they simply cannot afford the cost of childcare.
Oppenheimer helps parents who choose to work mostly for the benefits, forking over entire paychecks to cover the cost of childcare, and that's if they can find a spot.
Parents who want to get back to work simply cannot find childcare. They are being put on wait lists for it could be up to a year or two. In Idaho, about 50% of Idaho lives in what we call a childcare desert, and that means that there are simply not enough childcare slots for the need.
The Idaho Association of Commerce and Industry told our partners at Boise Dev difficulties accessing childcare cost the Gem State almost $500 million a year. That includes more than $400 million in costs to employers due to high turnover rates and absent employees, and more than $65 million in lost tax revenue. In Boise, leaders recently amended city code related to childcare licensing, hoping to fill vacant positions faster.
We streamlined the licensing process so that rather than sidelining childcare workers for 3 to 8 weeks while they wait for background checks, we're going to streamline that, allow them to work under supervision so we can get more kids cared for quickly.
At this point, it's like, if we can find childcare, then hallelujah.
Karen Lair, Idaho News 6.
So what's the solution? Well, there's no cheap or easy fix, and it will take time. But experts say employers, developers, and even lawmakers have ample opportunity to invest in childcare. We'll have more on that in our continuing coverage tomorrow night. Meanwhile, inside the State House today, State School Superintendent Sherry Ibarra presented her budget request for both K-12 schools and for the State Department of Education. Our Nicole Camarda outlines the impacts to parents, teachers, and students.
I'm here to advocate for additional investments in education, given the record surplus that we are fortunate to have as Idahoans this year.
Superintendent Ibarra is looking for more than $2.2 billion for K-12 schools next year, which is lower than Governor Brad Little's proposed increase he unveiled last week at $2.3 billion. During her budget request, Ibarra also discussed the impacts that the pandemic has had on education over the last 2 years.
We have limited data at this point, and it's a little too early to draw conclusions from the data that we do have. The impacts of the pandemic were not as severe as we thought they might be, but we did see some declines in some of our statewide indicators of student achievement.
Ibarra's main focus is optional all-day kindergarten for at-risk students across the state, requesting $39.3 million. Last week, Governor Brad Little proposed $46.7 million toward the same goal, and lawmakers have hinted that will be up for discussion this session. She also proposed a salary increase for classified salaries, 6.9%, which was lower than Governor Little's 10% raise for teachers. JFAC will start writing education budget bills on February 18th, according to the schedule. Nicole Camarda, Idaho News 6.
Lawmakers are back to work inside the State House, and many Idahoans want to weigh in on proposed legislation before it's signed into law. Now, it's a lot easier. The legislature does offer remote testimony, but the Senate is launching a new system for all wishing to testify. Whether it's remote, in person, or in writing, there is a new online sign-in system for anyone wishing to testify in Senate committee hearings. There will no longer be paper sign-up sheets, and with this new online system, you can find a link on the legislature's website at the bottom of the committee agendas, or a QR code that will be posted outside the committee rooms inside the State House if you are in person. The new online system will ask your name, how you want to testify, your position on the legislation, and your address, giving lawmakers your legislative district. Over in the House, it will remain the same, and the decision on allowing remote testimony will be left up to committee chairs. Finding a spot at a Treasure Valley daycare doesn't happen overnight. Most parents start the search for childcare long before their baby is even born, and even then, they're often put on year-long wait lists. So how do we improve access to safe and stable childcare? In tonight's continuing coverage, we explore how local experts say business owners, developers, and lawmakers could play a major role in the future of early childhood education.
The pandemic has changed a lot in our everyday lives over the last 2 years, especially for working parents like Lacey Briggs.
Did you have a good nap? He has needs, and when you're in a meeting, you can't just drop everything for a screaming baby.
Like countless other parents across the Gem State, the former Idaho News 6 reporter is struggling to secure childcare for her 4-month-old son, despite putting down a deposit and starting the enrollment process 6 months ago. The Garden City Center citing staffing shortages.
Our childcare originally was just right across the street. And now, unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. But at this point, it's like, if we can find childcare, then hallelujah.
Through the course of the pandemic, Beth Oppenheimer with the Idaho Association for the Education of Young Children says what's long been considered a personal problem is starting to be seen as a community issue, impacting more than just new parents.
Businesses are starting to understand, oh my gosh, we're having a hard time hiring a workforce because the folks that want to hire, they can't find childcare.
It boils down to this. Without stable childcare, working parents with young kids simply can't go to work, impacting Idaho's economy. There are a lot of factors like population growth and low wages for childcare workers, making it hard to come by. But what if every new business complex or housing development built in the Gem State incorporated some type of childcare in their plans? That's something the City of Boise's Child Care Task Force is recommending.
Always think about where are our employees going to find childcare, and if there's an opportunity to include a child care center or space within that facility, they should be seriously considering that. But they have to be able to subsidize it as well. It's not going to pencil out, it's not going to be a moneymaker, but it's really that long-term investment that our developers should be looking at.
And it will come at a cost. That's where local experts say government funding can come into play, helping facilities offset costs and increase wages without putting the price on parents already paying roughly $1,000 a month per child.
There's a chance right now, a generational opportunity to really look at how we increase the wages of those providing a vital service, while at the same time dropping some of the costs for families because it is such a large portion of our budgets.
Our biggest return on investment would be to invest in childcare, because childcare impacts so many different aspects of our community.
And advocates say those first few years are full of learning opportunities. Idaho teachers can see the difference when kids start kindergarten.
A little bit more than half of our kids are entering kindergarten without those foundational skills to be successful. They have never held a crayon, they don't know which way to hold the book when they open a book.
And Oppenheimer says employers have an opportunity to make a major difference as well. While most already offer benefits like medical and dental care, a child care stipend could serve as a major incentive, a piece of the puzzle that could put Idaho parents at ease.
That's his life. That's where he's going to be for so many hours a day. And to not know where that spot is and to not know if he's going to be safe, while we're working. That's probably the most challenging thing we've gone through so far as a parent.
Karen Lair, Idaho News 6. Refugees who resettle here in the Boise area often fill a vital role in the community when it comes to employment. Take childcare, for example. As we've reported extensively, with the rising population in the Treasure Valley comes an increase in demand for childcare. Well, tonight we explore in depth the local program training refugee women to become independent business owners running their own in-home childcare centers.
I love the children.
Again. Christine Casigua moved to Boise as a refugee from the Dominican Republic of Congo almost 9 years ago.
We can do like this.
And since 2017, she spent her days and nights caring for young kids.
I didn't expect this because when I came here, it was like, oh my goodness, I'm going in the USA. I am a black and white people. How will I be? What will I do?
Thank you. At first, Christine was a housekeeper for a local hotel, but then she learned about the Refugee Child Care Business Development Program, or RCBD.
Wow.
It's part of the Janus Economic Opportunity Program, aiming to empower underserved Idahoans.
We need to encourage new women to be able to open child cares. We shouldn't be discouraging it. We need more child care available in our community, in every population.
Do you need me to help you?
Yeah! The program helps refugee women get set up for stability and success, navigating every step of the way as they set up their own in-home businesses.
We invest anywhere from like $1,000 to $2,500 depending on their needs in each person to set up their home, purchase educational materials, toys, art supplies, health and safety, all the things that are required to, pass inspections, the licensing, the background checks, etc.
At most, Christine cares for 6 kids at a time, but unlike typical child care centers in the Treasure Valley, she offers care around the clock.
We work 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, 24/7.
So they might have 6 children during the day and then some others on the weekends, overnights, evenings, etc.
Many, including Christine's, also offer transportation.
Sorry, baby.
Along with the typical playtime and snack time, Christine incorporates lessons in their native language of Swahili.
So even if they talk to their grandma, they can understand some words.
An atmosphere focused on culture and comfort, evolving into an extended family.
Please don't take. Even the children, they don't call me Christine, they call me grandma. Yeah. And their parents, they call me mama.
They are not only wanting to own their own businesses, but
Hey, Papa is out.
they are just thriving on having the opportunity to set their own goals and decide how they need to structure their business.
Now I can say, because of this job, I am independent, I'm happy, I have everything I wanted to have.
Karen Lair, Idaho News 6.